Hey guys, Devin Gage here. Before we dive into this episode, I want you to take that big fat thumb of yours and hit the subscribe button on this podcast. Really appreciate you and the word that we're getting out about how to run great gyms. Now, in today's episode, you're going to be hearing a live team workshop that I did on customer service and customer experience. We talk about the core tenets of amazing customer service and our 5-step framework for managing customer complaints. And we talk about how to manufacture amazing customer experiences. So like always, take that big fat old thumb of yours, hit subscribe, like this podcast, share it with anybody that might benefit from it. And I appreciate you guys listening. With that, today I want to talk about customer service and customer experience. I want to talk about the differences between them and then the exact kind of frameworks for both of them that we need to uphold as a company, okay? So this whole thing centers around our company purpose, which is to be the best part of every client's day. You guys know this. Training at Engage is never about the nuts and bolts or the X's and O's of training. In fact, sometimes that can get in the way of being the best part of every client's day. This is truly a service-based organization, and that's what I really want to talk about today and make sure that we emphasize, all right? So here's my objectives today. So I want to give you definitions for the difference between service and experience. I want to teach you the core rules of service and experience and where they differ. I want to help you, or I want to define and get you guys to leave being able to follow the 5-step complaint response framework. All right, so when it comes to customer service, we have a 5-step framework for responding to customer complaints. My goal today is that you guys leave and know it by heart and can apply it in real time whenever it comes up, because no matter what happens, it's always going to come up, okay? And the last one is everyone to leave with at least 2 ways that you guys can improve on your service and experience delivery. And I want to kind of talk about that as we go. All right. So really the definition or the difference between customer service and customer experience. Customer service is what we do when a client has a need, a question, or a problem. Customer experience, so again, there's a typo there, is the sum total of how we want a client to feel every time they interact with our brand through every sense, every space, and every person that they encounter, okay? The first, customer service, is reactive. It's all about how we respond or react to a problem or a need or a problem or a question that the client has. Customer experience is proactive. It's where we really want to spend time crafting what we want our clients to experience when they interact with us, okay? And the thing that I want to touch on a little bit and hopefully talk a little bit in depth is that goes way deeper than just the words that we use or the surface level experience. A lot of that occurs on a subconscious level. So it's the smell of the gym, it's the organization of the gym, it's the way that your interactions trigger or elicit emotions from people, okay? And we're gonna give some examples of that, but the most important thing to know is customer service is reactive, customer experience is proactive. All right, does that make sense? Before I dive into that, let's talk about the value of great service versus bad service. I think this is something that we've dropped the ball on many times in the past. Sometimes ego can cause us to get a little bit crazy or defensive in the way we react to people. But the cost of good service versus bad service, let me make sure I don't have anything yet. So there was a situation that an email very similar to that happened, and we did not handle it. The person that was on the receiving end of that did not handle it all that well. And they were requesting like a $500 refund, okay? The person on the other end on my team, in their head, they were like, $500, I'm not giving that to this asshole. He didn't follow the right process. He fucked up, okay? $500 is definitely not getting refunded to that guy. And he was a dick, he was a jerk. He I think he even cursed at the person that was handling the response. But here's the thing. This guy went and wrote a 1-star Google review that was like very inflammatory. It was like, this place is a scam. Never go to this place. They ripped me off. This is like terrible business practices. This guy was also heavily involved in it was an athlete parent. They were heavily involved in like the local youth organizations. He was on like the board of a local recreation. He sent me an email personally to me, and he was like, you need to fire that employee. I'm gonna just tell everybody that I know how horrible of a business this is, okay? Now, raise your hand if you think that PR is worth $500, right? This person was pretty pumped about saving the business $500, not realizing how big of a deal a 1-star review and somebody that is clearly has nothing better to do than to talk shit on us is to spread that all over town, okay? That's the value of good versus bad service. I could read the stats, but I can tell you bad news or bad stories spread about 10 times more virally than good news, okay? If somebody has a bad experience, they're likely to tell at least 5 to 7 people, where if they have a good experience, we're lucky if they tell one person, right? A 1-star review, the likelihood of cold leads converting based on 1-star reviews drops by about 20%. The more bad reviews we have on our Google profile, the conversion rates drop incredibly fast. Now, luckily, I was able to respond to this and get this guy to realize that he screwed up. He didn't do the process the right way, and he actually deleted. I was going to send a screenshot, but he actually deleted that 1-star review. So I hope that illustrates like good service is always worth it, even when we got to like fall on our sword a little bit. So I have a few rules in customer service. So again, reactive, and then I want to share the framework. Number 2 is always aim to close the customer loops as much as possible. So avoid transfers, like I just said. Own the handoff. So there are some things that you can't answer or you can't solve on the spot. So for example, if somebody asks a request that's like really major, or it's like you're not sure about the policy, the worst thing that you can do is to just say like, all right, let me talk to my manager and like, I'll pass this to my manager, okay? That handoff is a transfer that we want to avoid. So always try to like, make sure you are closing the loop on what is the resolution of this problem, question, or concern, okay? And not only that, also make sure you're communicating the efforts of that follow-up. So if a question comes up that you can't close the loop on and you do have to go to me, Jeff, or whoever else, say, hey, here's what I'm gonna do. I gotta go to my boss about this. I'm gonna go to them today. We're gonna have a meeting in the next couple of days about it. I'll make sure to follow up by the end of the week, all right? Just communicating that is gonna help them understand what's happening versus another rule here. I think this is a repeat, but any holes in communication get filled with dirt. And what I mean by that is any hole in communication that there's any room for a story to be developed is likely to be filled with negative thoughts. So if somebody has a problem, I'll give you an example, a real example. So we had a client from a gym that emailed me personally, and Jeff, I forwarded it to Jeff, and they were like, hey, I love the gym, but I do have some concerns. This equipment could be updated. There's this issue with the flooring. I think it could go a long way to have like some upgrades to the gym. I love the training, I love the coaching, but I just wanted to reach out to you directly about that, right? It was a very nice complaint, but it was a complaint. I talked to Jeff and I was like, hey man, what are we gonna do? Jeff came up with the solution. He's like, hey, I'm gonna buy this, this, and this. We're gonna handle that. Jeff responded to her. Now, what do you think would have happened if she emailed me, I talked to Jeff, and nobody replied? We just took care of it. We took care of it. We got the order done, right? What would happen is the next 4 weeks while that order was like being fulfilled and sent and there were places, this person is gonna think that place doesn't care about us. they were non-responsive, that was bad customer service. Okay, so always make sure, you are working to close the customer loops. Does that make sense? All right, and it's as simple as just communicating what effort you're taking. Now, another important aspect of this is also communicating that it might not get fixed. Like, hey, I'm gonna take this to them, I'm gonna really take this in, I appreciate your feedback. I can't promise that this is gonna get solved, but we are gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna follow up with what resolution gets made. Make sense? So always work to close the customer loops. Number 3, take extreme ownership, okay? Things may not be your fault, but they are always your responsibility. Anything that happens in your world, in your facility, in your session, on your team is your responsibility, even though it's not your fault. If somebody complains that they have not, the example that I gave earlier, somebody is really pissed because they're getting billed even though they told your trainer that they couldn't leave, that's not your fault. That is their fault because they didn't read the membership agreement, but it is your responsibility because for some reason they didn't understand the rules, and that's on us. Okay, that's a customer service point that we could have anticipated, and we could have, on the onboarding, on the whatever, we could have made it very clear how canceling or freezing works in the business. Okay, just always take extreme ownership, never point fingers, never shift blame. Take extreme ownership over everything that happens. All right, and I'll give you a personal example. So, and this turned into, this was a little bit of fiery exchange, but we had the Gagey Awards a couple of years ago, which is our big event, and we had a member that supplied cupcakes, and she had like a little cake business, and I don't handle a lot of the invoicing and stuff like that. So for some reason, like, it slipped through the cracks. She never sent an invoice for the cupcakes. I think it was kind of just like a really informal agreement that we were gonna pay her like $200 for the cupcakes. And she never sent a formal invoice. She never even sent a formal, like, this is what it's gonna cost. It was just kind of like, it was very informal. A couple weeks after the event, I got an email from a friend of this client that was like, hey, I'm just letting you know, I think it's really disrespectful. You haven't paid this client for the work that they did. They worked really hard, and I know, how upset they are. They're never gonna say this, so I'm telling you, like, I would really appreciate if you took care of that, right? It was not my fault. I wasn't the communicating party on that, but it was my responsibility to make sure that that got taken care of, right? So I apologized. I, made sure it was taken care of, and that was it. All right, so that was me in that example, taking extreme ownership. Now, that client and I had another exchange that ended up working out just great, but I thought it might have come to fisticuffs at one point. But it worked out, and now he's the guy that I like. So that's extreme ownership. Always, like, never shift blame, never play the victim or feel like everything that happens in your world, no matter what, is on you. Next. Alex, to your point about the customer service aspect, fix it for good. Just every single question, problem, customer service issue we encounter is a good thing because it's a chance to fix a future problem. Because if one person has that issue, multiple people are gonna have it. If one person was confused about how to cancel and they thought just telling a coach in the session was the way that we can process a cancellation, there's a good chance that a lot more people in the future are gonna know that. So find the root problem, which for us, it was not being very clear in our onboarding and in our membership agreement about how cancellations and freezes work, and document it and create a system of a fix. All right, so for you guys, the way that looks is if you're getting a problem or even a repeat problem of people not knowing how something works or as something is done, identify like where that could be fixed from a systems problem or a root problem. So I just gave the example of like, that's a really common one. So how can you make sure that you've got like a system for that? And I'll give you an example for this. I'll give you 2 examples. So we were seeing our client success meetings were not being done super consistently. okay? It was like one coach would do it one way, another coach would do it another. One coach could sell supplements all the time. One coach, was just, setting goals, but like really never selling supplements or upsells or anything. So it was turned into a customer service thing because they also weren't communicating all of what we offer. They didn't communicate that we have supplements. They didn't communicate that they could upgrade. They didn't communicate our referral program. So the root solve was like, we created a checklist. So now every client success meeting, it's like, we make sure that they go through, hey, I just want to let you know, we do have a referral program. Are you aware of that? Just want to let you know, we have a supplement program, or do you want to talk about supplements? Just want to let you know, if you do refer somebody, you can get 50% off, blah, blah, blah. So that was a systems fix for a repeat problem. And another example happened just yesterday. I was in Collegeville. We were getting a video system set up through ADT, massive company, just a really good example. At the end, the guy had a physical checklist and he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, this just shows that I walked you through how to set up the security camera. He checked it off as he went. This just shows that you and I talked about how to log in, checked it off. This one is just to verify that you've got everything that you need and blah, blah, blah. He checked off as he went through all of the things that we both needed to understand was communicated. And that's a systems fix for like ADT probably at one point was like, hey, half our customers don't know their logins, right? Just tell them how to do that, right? Why this is so important is like, when you delegate things to your coaches, it's very easy to think that just teaching them how to do something one time is gonna stick. It won't. So we needed to get better at these systems fixes. And here's the last one. This is kind of a summary of all of those points into the one framework, but handling complaints effectively. The 5-step framework. Number 1, acknowledge the legitimacy of the complaint. So make sure that you affirm that no matter how you feel about it, you are affirming that they have every right to be upset or to be concerned or whatever. Apologize, no matter if it's your fault or not, you have to apologize. Because no matter what, again, no matter if it's their fault, no matter if they screwed up, apologize that they are having the negative feelings that they are having. And it's caused in some capacity by us. Take action to make things right. Thank them for bringing you the issue and document the issue and try to come up with a long-term solve. So I'll go one step deeper on some of these. Joe made a really good point. Acknowledge the legitimacy of the complaint. A really good way to do this is to get more upset than them, because only one person in an exchange can be angry. So if somebody's like, I'm really pissed, I'm getting a refund and I need to be more angry. Be like, I am completely outraged. I'm so upset that this happened. You have every right to do that. I'm gonna identify exactly what happened and I'm gonna handle it, I promise you. If you respond with even more, acknowledging that they have every right to be upset and you are more upset, a lot of times they're like, oh, well, listen, I really appreciate that you do that. At the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. You don't have to fire anybody over it. It's like a magic trick when you can acknowledge the legitimacy. At the end of the day, a lot of these people just want to vent. And it's just, some people are hotheads. They just fire off an email. So when you acknowledge and let that happen versus being combative and coming back with well, you didn't fill out the form the right way, it's really effective. Apologize. Thank you so much for bringing this to me. This is really, really helpful. Okay. Now you're creating a sense of reciprocity. You just did me the biggest favor in the world. Okay. Take action to make things right. Here's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do X. Again, I'm not saying you have to refund everybody, but you want to match what you think that the downside could be. If you think that they're going to go and write a 1-star review and it's a $500 fix, just refund it. All right. We saw this when Alex took over our Greenville gym. We had to refund a lot of people because we handled things very poorly. And whether they did things the right way on their end or not, doesn't matter. It's not worth it to us to have the negativity and the drama of a bunch of pissed off locals. So take action to make things right. Okay, identify what is gonna make things right for them and do it. Thank them again, and document the issue. Okay, so document it and bring it to whoever, either internally or bring it to a manager or to me, Jeff, whoever, so that we can come up with like a systems solve for that. All right, so that is the 5-step framework. I want to go through like a role play here and just have 1 or 2 people using that framework. So again, just to touch on, acknowledge, again, affirm the legitimacy, apologize, take action, thank them, and document. So let's talk customer experience rules. So let's talk how crafting the experience really works. And the one example that I really love that covers a lot of what we're going to talk about is Disney. So Disney is like the greatest ever at crafting the experience. Now, a lot of businesses are, but there's a lot that Disney does that happens like so far below the surface you would never realize. Like, for example, when you walk up to Disney, if anybody's been to Disney, it smells like popcorn as you're walking through the doors because they want you to feel like you are entering into a theatrical experience or like a Disney movie when you walk through the doors. That is a fake popcorn smell. And it's called olfactory marketing, but it is to elicit an experience that they have crafted for their people. Another thing that they do from like a customer, a staffing thing, no employee at Disney will ever point with one finger, right? Do you know why? In some cultures, it's deemed rude. So Disney members will always point with either a full palm or like 2 fingers with their palm up. And it's just like a tiny little thing. And they said, you know what? That little behavior causes friction or tension in our customers that we want to eliminate, right? So that's the way you really want to be thinking about the experience that your clients have. So I have a few rules that I would love to put out, and then kind of a systems way for you to think about this. The first one, never take a customer's parking spot. Never park in a spot that a customer may want to park in. This is one, I did a post about this on Slack a while ago. I think this is like the easiest customer experience thing that you could do is never park in the closest spots to your gym. Never park in front of the door. That's a spot that would be really nice for a client to park in, especially our target market where a lot of people have bad knees. It might be nice for them to not have to park, further away. It's a big deal at Gage because we get large groups and athlete sessions where the parking lot gets full. My staff is not allowed to park on this front wall. I never park on this front wall. Now I park across the way because that leaves at least 10, 15 spots open. And that's also why we moved our staff parking to a specific place in the back. I did a post on this. Brandon Hayward did a really good job with this. When I went to Ardmore, I made 2 notes. One, the CrossFit gym had a facility leader parking sign that was the closest to the door. I think that says everything that you would need to know about their values as a business, that it is not customer oriented, right? It's ego driven. And that says a lot about CrossFit, no offense, CrossFit. That would be like the anti everything that we're about. And the next thing I noted was Brandon was parked in the furthest possible spot from the door. Like he might as well have been on the street, which I love that. And he did it intentionally. So never take customer's parking spot, literally, but also metaphorically, right? There's a lot of other things that like never jump in front of a client to fill your water up, right? Never take a cubby that could be one of your clients, right? Never leave your stuff out that a client might want to use, right? So literally and metaphorically, never take a customer's parking spot. And at the surface, at the root level, look for any friction points and try to smooth them out, right? If your door sticks and it's like kind of a pain in the ass to open, try to leave it open, right? Unless it's like 10 degrees out, but even like leave it shut. Just step into your customer's mind and understand like they're probably scared, they're probably anxious. They are going to associate any friction with the feeling of this isn't for me, all right? Next, a lost client is a lost client. So goes in to anticipate client problems and pave the way, but again, put yourself in their shoes. Any confusion, any experience that they feel lost in a session is going to lead to poor retention and poor experience. So how can you manufacture everything that happens in your gym and anticipate they are not gym people. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. Now, a lot of this is embedded in our trial process. This is embedded in our site visit scorecard, which Joe's done a phenomenal job with. But just think, even as small as, are the numbers showing up on your dumbbell rack? Are your kettlebells organized in the right way? Is there a 45-pound plate covering a 5 or 10-pound plate on the rack? Okay. Are the plates that are in your rack organized in the right way? Does the client have to learn how to adjust the cable stack for themselves because they don't know how to do it? Anything that you have to be hypersensitive to embarrassment with our clients. They are so vigilant about feeling like everybody's looking at me, everyone is judging me. So be very vigilant that if they stand there for half a second and they grab the wrong weight and they're like, fuck, I feel like an idiot. Some people would rather work out with a 20-pound and a 25-pound dumbbell in their hands versus in public admit that they grabbed the wrong weight. That's how just vigilant they are to embarrassment. All right, this is where I like to geek out, right? Controlling the subconscious experience, right? The 5 senses are way more powerful. There's more powerful senses than just visual or auditory, all right? Senses like smell and, the things you're hearing outside of verbal communication are very, very powerful for shaping experience in a way that people can't even conceptualize, okay? A really fun example of this is the brand Sun Chips launched. They're kind of a organic, potato chip brand. They released a potato chip that was in a biodegradable bag. And they're like, this is perfect. It aligns with our target market. They're really health conscious. They're gonna be really eco-conscious. The problem, does anybody know the problem with this potato chip bag? Oh no, maybe, but the material that they used was the most obnoxious, loud, crinkly material, and it caused such a negative user experience that it absolutely bombed. And they put billions of dollars in marketing money behind it and launching this product that, by all intents and purposes, should have worked. Logically, you're they are health conscious, they're eco-friendly. Their whole target market were people that were more health conscious and eco-conscious. It should have worked, and it didn't, just because the bag sounded uncomfortable. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind when you're bringing people into your gym. What is the sensory experience in the gym? I had to shut it off because it wasn't the right environment, but we had a scent marketing system. It's called Scent Air, and it was the same system they use in hotels, in casinos, in restaurants, okay, in grocery stores, right? There's a lot of things that tap into the subconscious. Hotels have a specific scent that comes out of a scent machine that elicits a certain feeling of home or warmth or whatever when you're there. For whatever reason at Gage, everybody complained about the smell, but I would I had a scent machine that was supposed to trigger friendliness and warmth and feeling at home. Jeff, you could speak to that. It did not work well. Yeah, we would have seasonal scents. So again, that didn't work, but how does your gym smell, right? Is it dirty? Is it smelly? Tequesta, you had a smell issue. That's a big problem, right? I would have loved to not have had that happen, because whether people can logically like say like, oh, it's, you know, they're working on it or it's fine, that's a really big deal. So smell and like how good it sounds in the gym is a very big deal. Another one is your body language, okay? How are you presenting yourself? Do you have coaches that have their hands in their pockets, okay? Are people standing behind barriers? All right, that's a really big one. So body language is more to do, if you listen to my podcast on body language, it has more to do with how your presentation elicits feelings in other people than it is about reading people. So the thing is, your hands are one of the most powerful body language tools that you have, because at a subconscious level, if people can see your hands, they can see that you're not a threat. You don't have weapons, you don't have a balled fist. If you're standing behind a table, if your hands are in your pockets, if you're standing like with your hands behind your back, that's why the military asks them people to stand with their hands behind their back, because subconsciously it looks more threatening. It looks more authoritative. So how can you look not threatening and authoritative is standing with an open body language, okay? So that's a very kind of below the surface customer experience thing, is how can you like greet people with open arms, literally. And then organization. Like I said, if somebody goes to the dumbbell rack and all the dumbbells are out of order, so they think they're grabbing a 20 and a 25, but like they grabbed a 30 because it's out of order, or the number's not showing up, are there like, is there shit everywhere, right? There's a lot with like, there was that lady that had a Netflix channel about like cluttering your mind. A cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind. We don't want our clients to feel cluttered and like anxious when they're in your gym. And you fix that by organizing your space, okay? I think this is the last one before we just finish this topic, but remember that every session is their first and only session, okay? Your energy is everything, all right? If it is 7:30 at night, and we don't have a lot of 7:30 PMs, but if it's 7:30 at night and you've been there since 5 a.m. and you're fucking dragging and you're exhausted, your throat is dry, you have nothing left in the tank, that is their first session, and that is their only experience to train with you. Maybe only experience that week. You've gotta fucking bring it. You've gotta bring the energy, right? Your last session needs to be like your first. So this goes to like your energy management, making sure you're sleeping, making sure you're exercising the right way. I am like anti bodybuilding training for facility leaders or for people that are full-time coaches. I think bodybuilding and like long powerlifting sessions are some of the worst things you could possibly do for your career in training. Jeff, you know, you've had to adjust, you've become the master at like your energy management, but it's a big deal. It is a big deal with the way that you're sleeping, the way that you're eating, the way that you are exercising yourself, that you are regulating your energy. Making sure that you're fucking dialed in, every session is the same. And this also might mean not trying to be over the top in every session, because it's not possible. I would rather have you be consistently slightly above average than like some days you're fucking just on fire and other days you got nothing in you because there's zero consistency. Right? And that's just part of the customer experience. Oh, one more. And the last one here is guard the standard. Okay, when we map this customer experience, when we talk about what experience and we think which is the next thing, everything should be calculated. This is why we've shifted so much about our session reviews and our site visit audits. And when you review people's sessions, like the standard must be guarded, okay? You must like be diligent on the energy we bring, the experience that we want our clients to have, the way the gym looks, the way the gym feels, the way the session feels, and find a way to make it more concrete, all right? And again, I think Joe has done a phenomenal job with like the site visit scoring and framework. It's like, we've worked closely on it. Like there's a reason it's so drilled in, like your feet were either on the floor 5 minutes or 5:01. It's like very clear. right? Your feet are on the floor 5 minutes before, or they weren't. There's no like, yeah, but I had to talk to this client over there. It's like, it's very black or white. So here's how I want you to think about, and this is just a place to get your mind going, and I want to hear a few examples, but when you're crafting the client experience that you want to provide, it should be so granular that like, where do the clients park? What parking spots do you want to guarantee your clients have access to, right? If you're parking in the front spot, that's a friction point. If you're in a situation where like, your parking situation isn't great, can you like send a message out that says, hey, there's these spots allocated for you, this is where you can go, right? Can you pave the way for that friction point? When you walk in the door, this is a new one that I've been like really interested in. What level is the music at? Okay, if it's awkward in the gym right now because there's no music playing, but it's also weird when it's blasting. It's weird when it's blasting when you're giving instruction. It's weird when there's no music when you're giving instruction. So be very explicit about when the gym is empty, what level is the music at, right? If you control from your phone, what percentage is it at? When you're in the warm-up, what percentage is it at? Working sets, where do you bring it to, okay? Based on the experience that you want to provide. What does each rack look like? So this is something that I challenged Joe to do. He took photos of like the perfect rack setup that we're gonna start adding into the site visits and client experience framework. But even like when somebody walks in, where's the coach standing? In a perfect world, where would the coach be standing and how would they be looking when they walked in to create the experience?